Welcome back to Faith's Place, a podcast where dreamers have the liberty to dream. I'm your host, Phaedra, and I am so excited that we have this time to dream together. Today I have a wonderful guest, one of my close friends, my sister, Jodi. How are you, Jodi?
Hello. I am doing well. I am super excited to be on the podcast. I'm honored.
Well, thank you so much for just always being who you are and saying yes. I'm excited about this conversation. How did we first meet? We met in college, but I don't remember meeting you for the first time.
Yeah, I feel like we met. Like at a school thing.
Most definitely.
I feel like it was. I don't feel like it was a church thing. I think it was a school thing, and we just so happened. I think you kind of introduced me to like church stuff. I don't know. I honestly cannot remember.
I cannot remember. It's the funniest thing, but I do remember this and I'll never forget it.
Lord. What are you gonna say?
So school started in August. And so by September, like the ending of August, and so the first week in September, Gail Mays had a show, and I did not want to go by myself because it was at a quote unquote juke joint, and I was so nervous because I'm like this church girl, but I always wanted to go to a juke joint, and my favorite singers was there, and I was like, Jodi, can you go with me to this concert? Like this person she sings and it's an all-white affair. And Jodi was like, sure. And Jodi and I went to that concert, and we had a great time. So we saw someone, we was part of BSA, which is Black Student Association. And so I was very nervous to go to this thing in a whole nother different state. It was outside of our school. So I'm like, I am, going to unknown territories. But then we saw a familiar face. But Jodi was like, yes, I will go with you. She dressed the part. We had fun. And I would never forget that because I think that was just amazing. I think if there was a picture in the dictionary of like being a great friend, you would definitely be there. How have you become a great friend?
That is a crazy compliment. Like, I will never let me just say, I don't care how many times I hear that from you or anybody else, like that will never not be like dumbfounding to me because it is the greatest compliment anybody could ever give you. So funny enough, I kind of explored this topic in therapy once. And I really do have to say, like, my mom taught me how to be a good friend. Like,
wow.
My mom fostered a lot of my relationships as a child, and so she was very intentional about me connecting with people and like making time to be friends to people and to show up and to support them. And I think that's really what made me a good friend. I think my mom also taught me that relationships are not always transactional. And so even if someone doesn't show you a certain side of them or they don't show you what you necessarily expected, like you can still show up for them in various ways. And so for me, it was never growing up. There was no such thing as I'm hanging with this crowd or this crowd. Like I was never that person. Like I was always the person that like traveled through the crowd, yes. through the groups. And so, and not in like a chameleon type of way, like, oh, she two-faced, she, whatever. But like sincerely, I just believe that everybody had something about them that was worth getting to know. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think it just developed from that. But my mom also has shown me through her own life, like how to be a good friend. So
I love that. I think that's amazing. Does your mom have like a strong core of friends?
Funny enough, my mom actually has, I feel like she has her like groups based on like the phases of her life.
Okay.
So I feel like her friend groups are very fragmented in that way, like college friends and then post-grad friends and then work friends. And so I wouldn't say like my mom has a whole bunch of friends, but I think, and part of that is because she, when you become a parent, like you have a lot of focus on raising your kid. And my mom invested like everything that she had in
Mhm.
me. So
Mhm.
I think her friendships probably didn't like thrive as much when she became a mom because she was so focused on me. But now, like, she has a brunch with her friends on Sundays, and I just think it's so adorable. So she's kind of getting back into, sisterhood.
I think that's amazing. Like the sacrifices that mothers make, like physically, emotionally, on
Absolutely.
every level. It's just thank y'all so much. We really do appreciate it.
This ain't a Mother's Day broadcast, but
I know.
shout out anyway.
But that's so but that brings up a great point. And I don't know how I feel about this question, so I'll just throw this at you.
Hmm.
Michelle Obama talks about it. My mom even talks about it. Having friends for certain things. Like,
Hmm.
how do you feel about having friends for certain events in your life? Like, okay, well, if I'm going dancing, these are my dance friends. If I go to church, these are my church friends. And versus a friend that you can go to dancing with and go, to church or go to the juke joint or
Yeah.
things of that nature. Like, what do you say about that?
I think that is wisdom.
Mm.
I think it's wisdom. Younger me would have said that's foolishness. Like you're too fake. Like you're essentially like you're acting different in different spaces. But the older I get, the more I'm like, actually, that's wisdom. Because for the longest, I've had a hard time setting expectations for my friends in the sense that like I love deep relationship, I love deep connection, and so for me, every time I made a friend, I was expecting that level of relationship from everybody.
Wow.
And that, even as a kid, I feel like that put me in a lot of positions where I felt like betrayed in friendship sometimes because I showed up with 100 and they were giving me 25.
Hmm.
Um, and it wasn't that they didn't like me, but I was their ex friend over here. And then, this person child, I found out that I was not somebody's, 100% friend, when they got married. And, that was hurtful. Weddings and funerals really will will really bring stuff out. But
You
anyway,
said weddings?
weddings and funerals,
Oh Lord.
you're gonna learn a lot about
Yeah.
the strength of relationships during those times. But I think that is wisdom. I think that's something that I have not mastered at all. And I'm working on that now as I've gotten older because I do feel like I have reached a point where I feel like I have very close, intimate friendships, and I appreciate them. And I'm not looking for that anymore right now, but I am looking for a good time. I am looking for friends that have similar interests because, again, I don't believe you're going to get the same thing in everyone. You're
Right.
not going to get everything in everyone. It's just like when you get married, like your husband becomes your person, yes, but you and your husband are not going to have the same interests in everything, and so it's like you need friends for that. So yeah, that's my thought on that. I feel like that's wise.
I will be honest, I still struggle with that because I feel for so long people have put me in categories and it was just like
Mm-hmm.
Phaedra's just a church friend or
Mm-hmm.
it's like Phaedra's the quote unquote strong friend. And I'm like, girl, I love to laugh. Like I
Yeah,
love to have a good time. And I just I never like being relegated to I don't like people to confine me. Let
sure,
me put myself in a box if that's what you don't get to do that. Don't say, "Oh, I
sure.
didn't invite you because I thought you were busy." Did you ask
Mm-hmm.
me?
Yeah, yeah.
If you're not like, don't invite me to go rob a bank. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that. But I'll go with you to the bank if you need, some support going to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but I love what you're saying, and the older that I get, I do see the wisdom in it.
Am I allowed to ask questions back?
Please.
So, how do you feel about categories now? Like, I heard you say that, like, um, you don't like being boxed in, which I totally understand.
Hmm.
Do you still feel that same way that you feel like you tend to get boxed into a category? And if so, like, what kind of things have you done to try to not have to get put in the box? If that makes sense. What are you doing to, I guess, mitigate those type of experiences where you feel like people just see you one way?
That's a great question, and it's probably something I need to do on my part. What that is, I don't know. I mean, I'm always at church, so I guess people just only relegate me to just like, oh, she just is just a church girl. She has no idea about nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that means I need. But I go different places, but
Yeah.
My space where I visit is limited. So right now I understand why most of my friends are like in the church, but
Yeah.
back in the day, back in the day, yeah, when I was younger, I would do so many different things. And so
Sure.
I always felt like I still was relegated to just being a
Yeah.
churchy friend.
I was just talking to somebody else about this concept, but like there was a point in my life where I was like really frustrated in all of my friendships, quite frankly, just because I felt like I didn't have the space to be the not strong friend. I didn't have the space to be the friend that didn't have the answers. And so I really had a crisis. Like it was in private, but I really had a crisis because I was like, I was telling my therapist, I'm like, I feel like nobody takes me seriously or nobody allows me to be soft and all of these things. And she was like, well, have you tried? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, have you tried to tell them, that you're upset about something, or have you tried to be soft around them? And I realized like I was indicting these people on not being a safe space for me, but I actually never put them to the test.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's for me, it's the same way now as I'm older. Like before I say that that person is only a church friend, have I tried to be available outside of church? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Now, granted, this is not the podcast for this, but I feel like boundaries in church relationships are very necessary. But I still have to challenge myself today to be like, well, Jodi, have you made yourself available for the relationships or the friendships that you say you're interested in? And it doesn't work all the time, but at least I know like I'm making a step or I'm suggesting that, uh, and see where it goes. I think friendships or romantic relationships, like you just really have to, at some point, you have to get to your end of yourself and say, well, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And it may turn out terrible, but at least you try.
That's why I value you so much, because I feel like I can be myself. Like we have gone everywhere. We used to go to Target runs before we was boycotting. We don't go there no more. We would go to church together. Like I said, we would go to different events, especially on campus. And so I just value you because I can always be myself. You always ask great questions. You are analytical like me. You listen, and you are an attentive listener, so you do ask important questions. So you're like my unpaid therapist.
And every good, like I feel like every good friend, you should have one friend in your circle that is the unpaid therapist.
Yes.
At least one.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
This podcast is all about dreaming. You have always supported me in all my dreams. I remember that time when I had the commercial voice class, and you came to support me, and I sang that gospel song. Going back to my churchy theme. And like you gave feedback, and it was so nice. I was so happy that that you were there. But what are you dreaming up lately?
Ooh, that is a heavy question. What am I dreaming up lately? I'm dreaming up a husband. That's what I'm
Yes, girl. Ooh.
No, but I think that's not inaccurate, but I think I'm really trying to understand what the next 5 to 10 years of my life looks like, and that's kind of hard. I think it's especially hard because I would imagine that my next 5 to 10 years are planned not with just me in mind, but my husband and my future kids, and so it's a little weird trying to envision that. But I would say like in the short term, I'm really dreaming of being a full-time entrepreneur. Like that is something that I really do want to do. So I've been doing like business consulting for a minute, but I kind of put my own thing on the back burner to do like corporate consulting. And so now I'm in a season where it's like God has given me the permission to like try entrepreneurship. Go ahead, do it. That's what you went to school for. Live it. And so I'm really dreaming of that right now, but it's hard.
Tell me about it.
It's hard, and mainly, funny enough, like I think it's hard not even because entrepreneurship is hard, but like when you're doing something that God has put on the inside of you, like you have to conjure up faith in that vision every single day, despite the obstacles, despite what people are saying, despite what that bank account is saying, huh?
Come on, bank account.
That
was a liar.
Despite that, you have to be like, Lord, I trust you, and Lord, I believe this vision that you gave me, and I'm gonna work the vision until it works for itself. And so Yeah, that blessed me just there. So yeah, that's what I'm dreaming of right now, and it's not been the easiest thing, but it's worth it.
I'm so excited that you said that. Yeah, let's get into that. The like actively following your dreams and all
Yeah.
the faith that it requires, because I was listening to someone, I think it was Michelle Obama, who was like, your dreams should scare you. It scares you because you have a great vision about it, but then when you verbalize it to somebody else,
Yep.
they are like,
Yep.
okay. And then you're like, what? But you know what the worst is? It's like when you tell someone that you trust or
Mhm.
someone who you value their opinion, and then when they don't
Yeah.
get it, then you're at a crossroads of like, okay, is something wrong with me,
Yeah.
or like, what am I doing wrong? But following your dream is such a faith walk. And I think that's why a lot of people, they just don't do it, because it's easier to follow someone else's dream than to follow
Mhm.
your own, because it does require you to take a step when you don't see the full staircase. I know that you are saying that you are trying to get back out there. So what are some of the steps, or what are you telling yourself to motivate you and encourage you to follow your dreams?
Some stuff that I'm telling myself. That's a really good question. I have learned. This is gonna sound real churchy,
Go ahead.
but I have really learned that like nothing that concerns me has the opportunity to survive unless it's within prayer. Like if I'm not praying, it's going to die.
Mm,
Like and so it's the same thing over my business and my vision, and even taking something to prayer takes courage because it means you still have to believe in it to bring it up. You know what I'm saying? So I would say the first thing is I'm praying all the time, even if it's at my desk. Lord, show me what to write, show me what to whatever. Like I need you for this simplest things, like what's on the agenda today, like, and I know that there would be a time where I would say, like, girl, it don't take all that. But when you are operating solely in faith and you don't have it in your hand, and also nobody in your circle has done it, you have to encourage yourself that way. And so I would say prayer is one thing. I also tend to think about what is the cost of pursuing the dream versus not pursuing the dream.
oh, talk about that.
I could go back to corporate America. I could do the things that I know that I'm already good at and just rinse and repeat. But I would be forever living a life grieving what coulda, woulda, shoulda been. I don't want to do that because I know I'll behave myself. And I have noticed one of the things I did notice, and we're getting a little mature.
We
Um,
are, girl. The age is getting serious.
the age is getting serious, very serious. I would notice the, dare I say, jealousy when I would scroll down my timeline and I would see someone that I know does not have the same call that I have, has not had the same experience that I have, but they starting a business. Shout out to them. I'm not dogging them. But in me, I'm like, Jodi, this person who has less of the skill set and whatever, and they did it. They're doing it. And you're over here like, well, I just gotta get it together, I just gotta do all the right things. And it's like, girl, you either gonna follow God or you're not. Which one is it? And I found myself also being hypercritical of different like projects or visions that people would release, because I'm like, oh, that's a half baked idea. They should have done this better. They should have done this. And that may still be true. However, starting is still better than the person that's talking a lot of junk and not doing anything.
Come on, somebody.
And I realized that I was becoming that person that's being a hater, but I'm not doing nothing. So, to answer your question, I think about the tears that I don't want to shed at the end of my life. Why did I do that? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I whatever? So yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh, we could stay there forever, because that was just so good. It's all good. It's just all good. It's serious when you just become so frustrated,
Yeah.
because you're like, why am I even frustrated? Because you're not doing what you know
Yep.
what you should be doing.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like everybody else's stuff. And then, oh my gosh, and don't get started when people who you know don't have half of the stuff you have.
Okay.
People like, I went to how many degrees do I have?
Yep.
How much money did I spend focusing and crafting this idea? And
Yeah.
you just are gonna do it. It started like a couple of months ago. I was scrolling my feed, and I noticed like all of my friends, they're doing things creatively, and I was like, oh, I have creative friends. And then I was like, well, I went to dancing, I was in theater, so that makes sense. But they are following their dreams.
Yeah.
And that is so encouraging to me. And because I know them and because we have dreamt together and we shared our dreams, when we were younger, looking at them live it out is amazing. It makes me want to, also follow my dreams.
So I just got back on social media after being gone for a little bit.
We,
But
the people were perishing, girl. We'll miss you.
the girlies are starting to say, doing these like Delulu challenges is what they're calling them. And just get delusional about your life for 6 months or whatever and watch your life change. And I think the idea is adorable. But when I sit with it, the Holy Spirit just began to speak to me the other day. Like, what they're describing is faith.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That is literally what they're saying.
I say that all the
Faith
time.
is the substance of things hoped for but not seen. All right. So we've rebranded it to mean, hey, be Delulu. What they're telling you is to have faith. Now, what you're putting your faith in is debatable, but it's so interesting because if someone comes in with a problem, just a modern day person off the street, someone comes in with a problem, and I tell them just have faith. I tell them just have faith. You gonna look at me crazy. You gonna look at me crazy. But if I say just be Delulu a little bit, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, cool. And it's just so funny to me how we've like rebranded that, but ultimately we are all wired to have a measure of faith. And luckily for being in Christ, like we get to apply that faith and be promised a harvest. Being Delulu in yourself might just bring temporary gain and possible actual delusion. I don't know, but I'm glad to be on this side of faith opposed to being delusional. But yeah, that was a theme that I've been seeing around that's been interesting.
I feel the most frustrated when I operate in my own strength, which I
Yeah.
have been trying to do for, what I've been doing for the longest. But as soon as like I cry out to God and I am very, clear about what I want and my desires, it's like things really start to, manifest and
Yeah.
and it comes to fruition. And it's like, oh, that was the only thing I had to do. I had to cast my cares on you because you care
Yeah.
for me. Oh yeah, that is in your word.
Yeah.
Like, I think I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, the joy
Yeah.
of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah.
And
Come on. Listen, it does not take much.
the Lord is my shepherd. I have everything that I need. And so it makes more sense and it becomes easier or becomes clearer when God is at the forefront.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's just something that I've been really, really working with,
Yeah.
and thinking about. And I don't know how people without the Lord handle a lot of the stuff that we go through in life,
Listen.
but I'm sure they'll write a book, and I'm sure it's on Google. But as for me and my house,
Listen.
we're gonna serve the Lord, and He's never failed.
Amen.
He's kind of good at His job. You know what I mean? Like,
Just a little.
just a little. What kind of entrepreneurship venture are you going on? Do you mind sharing that with the listening audience?
Yeah, so basically, I really thoroughly enjoy helping people bring their visions to life. So in the past, I have worked at churches, I have worked with local small businesses, I've worked in corporate, and so I am the grace that God has given me is really to birth things in the earth. This sounds super deep, but like sincerely, this is what it is. Like this is not only my spiritual calling, but it's also my marketplace calling. And so I'm trying to merge the two in a way that I've never done before.
Come on,
So
Merv.
essentially, come on, merge, yeah. Yeah, so essentially I am attempting to do business management consulting. So I am specifically interested in brand development. So that's pretty much identity building for your business, for your idea, just creating clarity around who you are, what you do, and why it's special. I really love crafting those type of stories. I love writing as well, so that kind of like mixes everything in. Um, I also really love strategy because there's just so much out there that just has no direction, and I like to bring direction and order. Because the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain so that
That's what
people
it says. I read it
listen.
myself.
That's what it says. And so for me, I want to assist businesses, creatives, entrepreneurs to write the vision and create a map to get there. Um, that's what I'm really good at. I love the nitty gritty details. I love the how of it all. So a lot of people get overwhelmed with that stuff because that's just not their area of interest. And me, I'm like, give it to me, and we'll make a map. So that's really what I'm working on.
I love that. And I support you 1,000%. And I'm so excited about where the Lord is taking you and all the wonderful things and all the businesses that you help, because I know that you already helped businesses. Like,
Yeah.
I understand. So what was, if you can share,
Hmm.
a time when you were helping businesses that that stood out to you the most, whether it was the craziest, the funniest, or maybe it was a mistake, or what is something that like really stood out to you?
Oh. I'm sorry. Okay, so I I worked with this one business, and it was a I won't get that detail. But I worked with this one business, and beautiful vision, beautiful company, small but great purpose. The problem the problem is I would get on the phone and like the person would just go on a tangent for hours, and like they weren't actually receiving anything. They were just kind of dumping. And I was like trying to bring order to their thoughts, which eventually I did develop. But I realized that some creatives and some visionaries, they really aren't, as much as they say they're interested in help, they're not really interested in implementing the help. And so I would say it was funny only because he was the first person that took a chance on me and actually like paid me for my services. And
Oh,
so it
we
was,
bless God for him.
we bless God for him because he sold a good seed. And I love him for that. But that was honestly the craziest project I think I've been on as an entrepreneur. Wait, I have another one that I just have to say.
Yes,
I had
please
another
share.
crazy project. This was actually my paid job, so I got to check for this. But I used to work with this one like really large church organization, and at the time, that's when DEI was approved. DEI was promoted, and so essentially their responsibility was to get more DEI and like implemented across congregations. And I say that was the craziest project only because you would be surprised how many leaders in the church, were racist. And so it was very disheartening. It like kind of shook my faith a little bit. But it just opened my eyes. It was probably the craziest. I think that actually beats the other one, just because here you think, oh, we're all unified, we all love Christ, like this should be an easy sell. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
No,
Because Church A don't want to fellowship with Church B, even though they're right across the street from each other. So
it's
anyway,
crazy.
insane.
There's no words. Moment of
Yeah.
silence for that.
I have a question for you though.
Okay, please, please.
What has been your most fulfilling project to date? Like creative endeavor, project, whatever that you've done.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Recently I wrote and directed a play, and I really love that because I directed in school, but this was like my first thing outside of school. And when I was writing it, I really wrote with the actors in mind. But then I had a chance to, I worked with people who were not actors. And I got
Mm,
a chance to share everything that I learned and I paid my money for, and
yeah.
share it with people who really appreciated it, and then watch them create and develop these characters. So it went from, a one-dimensional character on the paper, and they made it 3D. They brought these characters to life, and they really enjoyed it. And I think one of my favorite things was one of the cast members said, when I look at TV, I don't look at TV the same anymore. I'm like, I think of
Mm,
characters differently, and that just blessed me so much. And I think the other part was, not only was it sold out, but the Saints gave me genuine laughs, and I said, "Oh, they found me funny," and that was amazing because it's like I know my target audience. and they received what I put in and all the love that
Yeah.
I put into it. They really received it, and it was reciprocated. So I think that probably is my most fulfilling project thus far.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Thanks, girl. And of course, you've been there to support everything that I do and just always give me great questions like you're giving me now. Give me a chance to think about stuff and reiterate it. So before we close, you are into entrepreneurship, like I said. So what is like the main thing that people get wrong?
That is a good question. There's like two. There's like the pessimistic version of me, and then there's the faith filled like
Well,
go
do
for it,
both.
shoot for the side. I think the pessimistic side of me is going to say that a lot of people think that an idea is a business. They do not think about the longevity of something. They do not think about if there's a target audience for it. They do not think about how much it's going to cost, what type of help they're going to need to do it. And so I would just say the biggest mistake is not counting the cost. Um, and not just financially, but what is it going to require of you? What is it going to require of your audience? Like, is there an investment on their end? Do they have to go out of their way to know about you? Like all of those things. And so I would say, and I'm a baby business owner, so I don't know everything, but I would say that would be probably the biggest mistake.
That's
Um,
not pessimistic. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say in order to start a business, like what's one thing I would say? Funny enough, I said count the cost, but I'm also now gonna say go for it. That's my advice. My advice is to test your idea for your business. So if you know that, I'm just gonna give an example. If you know you got a cookie baking business, right? It would be nice if you did all your research and you had all your business plans all together, but that's going to take time, right? You don't need all that to verify whether or not you could have a cookie baking business. What you can do, make some cookies, take it down to the church, ask people for feedback. You could also go to the farmers market in your local area and sell some cookies and see how well it sells. Like, don't be afraid to do the micro like activities and show up in that way. Um, because it'll sometimes the greatest lesson is just you just gotta try it. You just gotta do it and get your foot out. If you're super analytical like me, like there are not enough plans in the world. Go do it. Go do it and see. So that's my encouragement. That's my advice.
That's sound advice. And I'm finding that out. Like, because you could sit home all day and think of something. And as soon as you think of a good idea, you could think of 10 reasons why it will not work. And now
Mm-hmm.
you just have wasted time. And that's kind of what I'm doing now. I've been having this, I guess, dream, to really
Yeah.
start back up my podcast and rebrand it. And I'm like, oh, but I have to find my target audience. I got to think of these questions. I got to do, and then I'm sitting there paralyzed for
Yeah.
next week or month or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. And instead of just taking a step. And when I took that first step and started recording my first episode, oh my gosh, I feel like 10 times lighter.
Yeah.
And of course, asking you, and you were like, well, Phaedra, whatever you like, I want to be on it. You don't know how much that really, like, just
Oh.
made everything better. I'm like, oh, people are here to support me. I don't have to do it by myself. So,
Absolutely.
so thank you for that. And just being who you are and just always showing up. Like I said, you're just a great friend. How can people get in contact with you? Because I know people want to start businesses and they need to call you. And how can they get into contact with you?
See, I should have been prepared for that.
Instagram, can
you
they DM you?
you can DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is Jodi with two I's at the end and an underscore. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes, but
Yes.
um so it's JodiIMY underscore on Instagram. And then you could also just follow me on LinkedIn. I'm really going to do a whole rebrand on LinkedIn as well. So Jodi Iyamu, Jodi, last name Iyamu. I also have a blog
Yes, you do.
that is going to be resurrected this year.
Finally.
And,
Your
and
fans were, missing you.
thank you. And
It's
so that
unwavering desire.
unwaveringdesire.com. Yeah, exactly. So look out for new blog posts there. But yeah, you can pretty much connect with me anywhere. I'm an open book. I love helping people. I love chit chatting. So
That's wonderful. Well, thank you again, Jodi. This has been so much fun.
thank you so much, Phaedra girl.
And you're welcome to come back to Face Place anytime so we can dream up new dreams.
Listen, I want what they call it, a featured, because I want to be back on here.
Please, a resident guest.
Right.
Always, always. And thank you, my listening audience, for tuning in. And we'll be back next week where we can dream up more dreams. Thanks so much. I love you all for listening.